Welcome back to Different Walk Serious Talks. You're back here with myself, Jessica, Farah, Autumn, and Keisha. Um, Different Walk Serious Talks is a podcast featuring honest conversations about philosophy, finance, and life from people in different stages and different backgrounds. So, if you're tired of clickbait and want thoughtful, real discussion, you're in the right place. Today, we're going to be talking about love languages, what our love languages are. Once we took the love languages quiz, did it turn out to be exactly what we thought it was? How does your love language show up in your relationships, and why does it matter, or does it even matter? So, does anybody want to go first with their love language?
Jessica, why don't you start us off?
So, I took the quiz and mine was physical touch, which I so I think it's skewed a little bit because I'm not in a relationship. So I do think that I want physical touch more than normal now. So I'm missing the physical touch element. So I think normally, I think last time I took it was acts of service, which is very much in line with what I thought it would be. So
Isn't it funny that it kind of changes with where you are in your life and what you're
yes.
wanting, what you're needing? Oh, should we share all the five love languages for our viewers before we go further?
I agree.
Okay. So, the five love languages, and these are in no specific order. Okay. The first one up is words of affirmation. So, an example would be like your partner congratulates you, tell you that you look attractive, and that makes you feel most loved or happy. Then there's acts of service, where an example would be like your partner does a chore for you or takes care of something without even having to be asked. And this makes you feel the most loved. Three is receiving gifts. An example would be you get a gift or a small treat from your partner that tells you that he or she was thinking about you. The other one is quality time. Examples are you and your partner have a date, go on a trip together, or just have time having deep conversations. And little things like that make you feel loved. And then the last one on this list, physical touch. Things like you and your partner holding hands, kissing, hugging, or sitting, laying close together. And that's what makes you feel the most loved. So, shorthand, physical touch, quality time, receiving gifts, acts of service, and or words of affirmation.
Yep. And of course, you have a love language that for what you want to receive, and of course, what you want to give as well. So your love language for what you tend to give to people that you care about. So
One thing that I will say I've noticed is that oftentimes people's love language is what they do, right? However they feel the most loved, they tend to do that for other people. So if you're wondering like what is that person's love language, just observe them. If they're constantly doing acts of service or they're constantly buying little gifts, more than likely that is also their love language.
so
Mm.
what about you, Keisha?
So I have taken this quiz many times and I always end up with quality time being the top one because I do like going on little adventures. I love spending time with people. I love making memories is what it is. So that's always my number one.
Okay. All right. What about you, Autumn?
Well, I would have thought, based on how frisky I am, physical touch will be my love language, but it's quality time as well. And I do see that because I enjoy doing fun things, uh, with whoever I'm with, and to create memories, I think creating memories are priceless. So yeah, I can see that quality time at, you know, my major love language.
That's awesome. And a lot of times, I think people overlook that as like one of the really big ones because like you spend a lot of time with somebody, you're like, oh, that's fine, that's quality time. No, that's just because you spend time with somebody doesn't mean it's quality
Right.
time.
Yeah. The
So
question is
I think.
quantity versus quality.
What about you, Farah?
Mine changes based on my mood. So, if we're out in public, I don't like to be touched as much. But I do like to be touched when we're in private because I am a very sensitive person and I just in general don't like people touching me, even strangers or friends, family. I have a real sensitivity to when I get touched, so I can feel it down to my toes sometimes. And so I prefer not to be touched in public, but if we're in private, then I love being touched. And I am, as Autumn put it, I'm a frisky person. I am really into acts of service, however. Um, It's what I do daily. I can't help myself. I love serving people, whether it's family, friends, strangers, it doesn't matter. If I can help anybody anytime, I will perform an act of service if possible. And I appreciate it done for me as well. If something can be done for me and like, let's say the dishes are piled up and I have to do laundry and I turn around and the dishes are done, that'll probably get me in a real good mood for the bedroom. So, um, I do appreciate gifts, but it's just not my act of love for me. Gifts are just a normal thing. It shows appreciation, but you can get a gift every day and it won't amount to the same thing as an act of service. So I appreciate gifts, but they're just not my love language. And I can't remember the other two already. So obviously they're not my love languages. I did take the test, but I couldn't get the results to appear in my email. So I don't know where they went. But I did notice that a lot of the things that I chose were acts of service. So I probably lean towards acts of service. And again, I do love to be touched, just preferably in a private setting, because I don't want to be set off while we're in public around old people and children. Like, come on. So let's keep that for in the house.
That makes
I
sense.
love that.
So, do you guys think that you're like, as Keisha said, a lot of times you show up for other people for what you want. So, do you think that the love language that you give is the same thing right now? So, like, think about like the stuff that you do for others and stuff that you enjoy doing for others. Do you think it's the same thing?
I believe so, because I'm the kind of person I can spoil my guy, but in return, I like to be spoiled as well. When it comes to
It's
giving.
reciprocal.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, to answer your question, I believe I treat others the way I want to be treated. I love others the way I want to be loved. Yeah, that is a factor.
Okay. And Farrah, you were going to say something?
Yeah, I was just putting some deep thought into it because I feel like the way that you treat somebody is kind of ingrained in you from when you're little. And sometimes, especially with acts of service, as much as I enjoy doing acts of service, sometimes I don't enjoy it being done back. Like I do appreciate it when my partner does the dishes and stuff, but sometimes I want to do it myself because that's what I love doing and you took it away from me. So I don't know. That's kind of iffy for me because if I want to be the one doing the laundry and getting all that stuff done and you took it all away, what am I supposed to do? So I don't know. I'm not sure, but I do, like I said, I love being touched and I love touching. I love exploration in general. Like I feel like exploration in a relationship, especially sexually, is something that's a must. Even when you already know your partner, exploration and touch is always brand new with each different act. So you can know your partner in so many different ways and you can still find something by just exploring because we do change as we get older or even with different moods. As Keisha said earlier, it could depend on just that day. One day you might like something a lot and the next day you're like, oh, that's annoying. Please don't do it. So
Yeah.
it can
But I think
change.
you bring up two really good points, maybe even three. Uh, one being that it does change, it can fluctuate, right? Depending on where you are in your life or just what you need in that moment. But I think the fact that you shared that you'd say, maybe I really liked that yesterday, but today it's annoying. It's important to just communicate that, right? Like just share that because it happens, especially sometimes in the bedroom. You'd be like, this worked really great the other night, but tonight is just not working for me. But outside of the bedroom, that same level of communication is very important so that you can navigate these changes. And you're not supposed to remain stagnant as a person. You're constantly growing, changing, flowing. That's life. What makes it easier is just when you can communicate those things to the person that you're sharing life with. Another great point that I think you brought up was that you want to be intentional the way you're loving someone. So my acts of service, looks like this for me, but it might not look the same for someone else. So that kind of leads me back to your question, Jessica. When I'm showing up for someone, do I make sure I'm giving quality time because that's my love language? Yes and no. Because in my opinion, quality time looks like X, Y, and Z. But then to my husband, it might look more like A, B, and C. So with me, like sitting around the house and, being curled up watching a show, it's still quality time to me because we're spending time together. But my husband is like, let's go out to eat. Let's go do this. Let's go do that. Right. And I'm like, okay, sure. We're going to all the restaurants this week. That's fine. Let's eat up all the money. I don't care. You know? So that's why I make it a point to ask him, even now, even though we've been together for like maybe more than officially married more than 15 years at this point. I still ask him, like, how do you feel loved? How do you feel cared for? Because even though we've been together for so long, it does change sometimes. So I can't just assume that what we did 2 years ago works now. Right. So I make it a point to check in and be intentional. What makes you feel loved? What makes you feel seen? And more recently, when we had that conversation, because before it's always been quality time. More recently, he was like acts of service. And I think it has everything to do with the fact that he's been traveling a lot. So when he gets home, not having to worry about the hustle and bustle and doing things and just feeling taken care of and being able to relax really helps him. So when he said that, I was like, it makes sense. But even if it didn't make sense to me, it wouldn't have to because he told me, and then I can say, all right, let's move that way.
Yeah. I think that's an important thing to kind of, like, drill down on, is that just because it doesn't make sense to you doesn't mean that it's not something that you should take into consideration. Because a lot of times what ends up happening is that you're like, "Well, that just doesn't make sense." And then sometimes people get brushed off, their opinions don't get taken into account. So, it's important for us to really take into account what our partner is actually saying. Um, and like you said, sometimes we end up showing up for each other the way that we want to see it, right? The thing that you feel like you wanted, so you do it for someone else. And sometimes that's just not. We talked about on the previous episode, Autumn's towels, right? I can go to Autumn's house and be like, I'm helping her do these towels, and I go and I fold all her towels, and then I'm like, you're welcome. Right? Because 'Cause I'm like, I'm doing this act of service. Of course, if I like acts of service, she's gonna like acts of service. I saw your towels undone. You're welcome. And Autumn is sitting there seething because she likes her towels done a certain way. And so I haven't done anything well. I haven't that's not an act of service for her. It's actually an act of service for me. I'm doing it for my own benefit, not for hers. Because what acts of service would look like would be, "Hey, what do you need? What can I do for you that will be helpful?" The towels, okay, and she might say, "Yeah, but I have a specific way I like those towels. I know I need them done, but don't worry about it." And I'm like, "Oh, well, just show me. Show me how you like your towels. If you show me and I do it that way, then it was helpful, and now it's acts of service." So
Yeah.
we kind of touched on that a previous show.
Yeah,
So
just being really thoughtful and considerate of that person as opposed to assuming what you believe they want. Just check in and make sure you're doing those things. There was a lady on TikTok that shared a really beautiful example. She was dating a guy and she mentioned she wanted to start crocheting. So a week later, he shows up at her door with 7 different kinds of yarn, a $100 gift card to the hobby shop, and books with how to start. So he was like, I'm listening to you, and then I'm
aw.
showing up in that way. I'm not just assuming this is what you want. I listened, I processed, and then I came prepared. That is love. That is
I'm
love.
the same way. I'm the same way. I listen to my partner. Like sometimes, especially men, I think they have a hard time expressing what they want sometimes or telling you directly what they want. So they'll drop hints here and there. And I take an ear. I'm like, okay, so this is what you want. And then I'll do the surprise of the gift giving. Okay, I got what you want. So I don't got to go back and take it back to the store because it's not something you want, you know? So I believe, yeah, listening, wholeheartedly listening to the partner or whoever you're in a relationship with, it goes a long way. And also, Keisha, you mentioned something as to y'all been married for a very long time, and you check in with your husband. And I think a lot of people don't do that. People change. People change
Absolutely.
situations, and you check the temperature of your relationship because yes, what was good yesterday might not be good today. People's taste change. It's just and I think that should be implemented in a lot of long-term relationships because we change as individuals, and as we change as individuals, the relationship changes as well.
It should. If it's a healthy relationship,
Yeah.
absolutely.
And it's
It's
not
not,
always change in the worst way. It's just people grow, and with growth.
Yeah, you
Thing.
see it sometimes, when it shows up and people, will want to order for their spouse or yeah, my wife, she always orders a fish. And then for her just being nice, she's like, "Yeah." Even though this time she
yeah.
was thinking, "Maybe I'll order the steak. I haven't had the steak here. I've always ordered the fish. I was thinking about ordering the steak." But
Try
then
this.
just being nice, she's like, "Oh, he's trying to show concern. I'll just eat the fish." So sometimes just speaking up and asking your partner, "Hey, is this still good for you? Like like I know you've always done this. Did you want to try something new?" And those sorts of conversations. I know they tend to go by the wayside, and they people don't really think about them because you have them over and over and over and over, and we get into these patterns, right? Um, but it's a really easy thing to overlook, and a lot of people tend to say things like, "Oh, my relationship got stale. It got boring." I think part of that tends to be because we don't talk to each other. We just um we're like, "Well, that's what it is," and we don't like refresh it with new information. We just assume that nothing has changed.
I
So,
think sometimes, I think everyone's different with that. So I'm sure I've mentioned before that my relationship's slightly different and we don't communicate as much. Um, I think we kind of pride ourselves on the fact that we don't necessarily have to communicate certain things and that we just end up paying attention enough that we have to do it instead of communicating. And sometimes communication for both of us can be really hard. We don't know how to get out things, especially with me. I am terrible at communicating because I'm just too distracted and sometimes I don't know what words to use. And communications for me can sometimes lead to a disagreement or a argument or a debate. Whereas it's over communicating for me that will lead me to frustration because I don't feel like communicating all the time. I don't feel like all the talk. So sometimes not communicating can be better. Just paying attention and noticing the subtle differences. Like me knowing that he wants his socks washed. He doesn't have to ask me for his laundry. Me knowing that he appreciates finding clean socks and clean underwear all the time is something he appreciates. I don't have to ask him or he doesn't have to reiterate it. It's just something I know. You know what I mean? And it's not something that we ever discuss. It's something that I'm used to doing because my grandmother was like this. No, I didn't even notice it. I'm just a person who does this because my grandmother did it and my mom did it
yeah, but
and
you
I
also
did it.
notice that he appreciates it.
I did notice that he
You notice
appreciates
that he
it
appreciates it.
after a while. At first, I didn't even notice that. I just kept on doing it. And then as time went on, yes, over the years, if he'd be like, babe, are there any clean socks? And I'd be like, oh, they're over there in the whatever basket because I forgot to put it in the drawer. Be like, oh, thanks. Ah, he does appreciate it.
But here's
That
the
made me
thing,
feel
you
good.
guys were communicating. You guys were communicating, but it just wasn't a verbal communication,
Yeah,
right?
and
Like,
everybody communicate on a different level. You
and
know your
that's
partner,
okay.
so
'Cause
and
yeah, and it
and
works for you
yeah,
guys.
Yeah. And
yeah,
sometimes when
that's
we
what
try to
exactly.
communicate verbally, I'll get frustrated because I don't know how to use the words. So I'm like, oh my God, why are we even talking about this? You know what I mean? Like, I'm just not that good with words for us to keep on trying to dig into it and verbally do this. Babe, what do you like? What do you do this? Even with gift giving, like sometimes they'll ask me, sometimes they'll ask my sisters or my mom. And it might
Yeah.
be better that way because I don't want to have to try and think. Just like when I buy him gifts, I try and think of, well, what has he been doing lately? Is he into this right now? What is he playing on his video games? Little stuff like that instead of being like, babe, what you want? What's on your mind for me to give you, you know? And I know everybody's different with gifts. He actually asks me what I want and he buys exactly what I want for a gift. And a lot of people, they're like, what do you mean he asks you? He doesn't just surprise you.
Yeah. He does surprise you sometimes,
Yeah,
though.
sometimes. And
He
I
does surprise you
appreciate the
sometimes.
surprises, but it's actually
Yeah.
preferential for him to ask me than to get me something that I don't know what to do with. Yeah, because
Yeah.
if I've had gifts before that I'm like, thank you. And I don't want to seem ungrateful, but I have no idea what to do with them. And they end up sitting on the shelf. And sometimes they're really expensive gifts. And I'm like, what is this? What am I supposed to do with this? Do I sell it? Do I Yeah. auction it off? Like, do I give it to somebody who's actually going to use it? Especially, back in the day when people used to get me flowers, I never knew what to do with flowers because I'm not a flower kind of girl. So if somebody bought me flowers, I'd be like, damn, they're really not paying attention to me because I'm a food person. Give me food all day, all day. Oh God. You notice
I
my love
do
language
think
of
that
food.
with you I do think that with you and Mike, though, I do think that one of the things is, if you want something different, you guys are both very much somebody who's gonna speak up. So, if you don't want something, you'll be like, no," immediately. Like "Do you want peanut butter pie?" Of course, why would you even ask me that? But you might be it might be a day where you're like, you've been eating chicken tenders all week, and he's like, "All right, well, you've been eating chicken tenders, so I'm gonna get you chicken tenders." And you'll be like, "Absolutely not."
It's steak day. It's steak
Like,
day.
"Absolutely not. I am not eating chicken tenders today. Thank you very much." And I feel like the fact that you will speak up when you're like, "Nope, that's not the direction I wanna go." I think that helps with the fact that you guys don't have to communicate everything. Because some people do have to communicate everything. Because like me, I won't always speak up. Like, I'll be like, "Sure, you wanna get chicken tenders? Okay, I'll eat chicken tenders for the 99th time this week." Like
But why
I
do
feel
you
like
think
we
that
have to be
is?
that way though. I feel like if we're not that way because we're so opposite, like with quality time. For me, quality time isn't just you being present. I appreciate if we're both really busy, us being in the same room as quality time. However, I would prefer to get out and about. And he's an introvert and I'm an extrovert. So it can't always be about what I want. You know, if he thinks that watching TV is quality time, great. We'll do it a couple of days a week. But once in a while, I want to be wined and dined and taked out. I want to go somewhere. And I didn't used to be huge into romance, but as I got older, I'm like, all those books I read, I think they made an impact. Like, I want a little bit of romance.
They left little
Yeah,
seeds.
Absolutely.
because I'm a book lover, and especially when we were growing up,
Yeah.
all those like feisty books. What were those books that we used to always have? Not for children, but we read them anyway. There was like a whole series of books where it was women with their cowboys and
Fever.
their what is it?
Oh, yeah. That was, oh
And
gosh,
their
I
hot
can't remember.
rods, and their nice long
Yes.
sass, right?
Oh,
It was
yeah.
always something where even though it was a sexual act, you couldn't fully understand it was a sexual act unless you knew it was a sexual act, if that makes sense, because it was always some kind of idioms or some kind of hypothetical something, or they're like, oh, his hot rod shaft did this to my, whatever. And you're like, whoa. Now as an adult, I'm like, oh, these were nasty. Those women. Boy, they were always having something done. But as a child, I was like, oh, this is so interesting. And as I got
Y'all
older,
was reading smut. Y'all was reading smut when y'all was little.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes,
we read
absolutely.
anything we could get our hands on. We're book lovers. We weren't into TV.
We are
So
book lovers.
anything we could get our
So,
hands on, and they don't regulate at the library. They don't say,
yeah.
oh, this isn't for children. You
Okay.
see it, you like the picture on the front, you're like, let me check this out. Next thing you know, you're like, wow, oh my gosh. And
I
you're
mean, they
learning
didn't
stuff you
used to.
probably shouldn't be
Now
learning. So a lot of times when I was younger, I wasn't really into the romance stuff. But as I got older, I like a couple years ago, he surprised me for my birthday and took me on a train ride. And I probably might have laughed when I was younger, but I thought it was so romantic. He took me and my daughter for our birthday, and it was a beautiful experience. And I'm sure we rode trains when we were younger, but with my memory, come on, I don't remember. So for me, it was like a brand new experience, and it was really fun. It took a few days to get to where we were going. And when we got there, it was a really nice hotel, a great experience. And then we took the train back. And it's not something that I would have ever thought to do. And when we did it and got that experience, it's something that I want to try all the time now. I'm like, well, where else can we go on the train? Nobody even thinks to take the train.
And Amtrak, I give it to you because that was a really great romantic experience that I would have never put um, into the romantic aisle. But it was, we
Trains are
started off, in the regular car where everybody's in the same car, right? And their seats kind of like the bus, and there's all kinds of different people. When I tell you people are interesting, you get to meet all kinds of walks. You meet some fancy smancy bougie people who are like, oh my God, don't touch me. And then there's other people like, come on, give me a hug. I know I just met you. And then there's some religious types. There's some cookie types, some drug addicts. Come on, you got to throw that in. But it was an interesting experience, especially because we had my daughter and, we were like, oh my goodness, this is definitely different. We don't even ride the bus anymore. And I used to all the time when I was younger, but it's been a while because we got a car and I don't know what happened. But then on the trip back, he actually got a private car and it had its own bathroom. And that in itself was another experience, two different experiences for the same trip. And I still appreciate it to this day. It was something that he thought of. I don't know if he worked with my sisters and my mom to come up with it because I do love to travel, but it was very romantic for him to come up with that. And he didn't ask me for a change. He wasn't like, hey, what do you want? Which is what he normally does. And I don't mind because I'm like, hey, I got what I wanted. So I appreciate
Yeah.
that he does that, but it's also nice to get a surprise here and there. But
he put the effort in.
I'm surprised in the love language that food wasn't in there because I swear that food is part of my love language.
Listen, I think we need to revise the love language list, okay? Because
Food
food
is
should
acts of
definitely be in
service
there.
though.
Is
Like
it?
Huh?
when you do an acts of service, and
Yeah, 'cause you
if
cooking
I'm
for somebody or somebody
yeah,
cooking
you're
for you or
cooking or
you
you're bringing
taking
them
you out.
food, yeah, I feel like it's an act of service.
Yeah.
I guess, but I feel like it should
Yeah.
have its whole own category.
Is that special? Is that near and dear to your heart? Oh my
Because
gosh.
I feel like every special occasion deserves a good meal. Without a good meal, it's not extra special. You have a birthday party, you have food. You have a wedding, you have food. You have anything that's special, there's food. And it's not even on there. I was confused.
I'm not gonna lie. That's probably
Food is
one of the
universal.
easiest ways that like if I really care about somebody, I'm making sure you got breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Plus, you got some snacks. You got all the snacks in the house. So, like, I tend to when Autumn knows, I make a tray, a charcuterie tray.
Mm.
So, and I'll make it and I'll send them off with it. I'll send somebody off with a charcuterie tray. So like if I'm, especially if a friend, a boyfriend, and like I am waking up a little early, rinsing off, fruits and vegetables and some cheese and some crackers and getting it all ready, and I'm gonna have it ready to go before I even go take a shower and send somebody up because I feel like be having that sustenance and having what you like wherever you're going, like it makes you feel a little better. You don't have to go and try to figure out like what you're going to eat in the airport or what you're eating while you're going on a drive and things like that. So I think it's a big act of service for me. I love I my love language that I give tends to be gifts and acts of service. So I
I
love
agree.
choosing gifts.
I
I
agree. I
love
like to
choosing
cook.
gifts.
Uh,
Yeah.
I've eaten different cultural foods. I love Korean food, Caribbean food, all kinds of food. And I remember, um, at the time he was my boyfriend and he told me he loved Caribbean food. So I'm like, and this is us moving in together. They created oxtails, Jamaican oxtails, a whole meal red beans and rice, Jamaican oxtails, Jamaican bread, everything. I did not know how to do this stuff, and I created it from scratch. And that meal was so good. I impressed myself. I was like, and yes, he
You better scoop
enjoyed
me
the
up.
meal as well. And I realize that is an act of service that I enjoy doing. And it's so crazy. You tell me something that you like, okay, I'll challenge myself, and I'll do it. And if he likes it, okay, that mean this could be a dish in our little family. So yeah, acts of service, cooking, Yeah, that needs to have its own category because
Have you
I
ever
would fall in that.
noticed? Have you ever noticed that the happier you are, the more you're into cooking more? Like if you're not happy, if you're grumpy, you might make something really simple. But if you're extremely happy and satisfied, you delve and you make the appetizer. You make the main course. You make a dessert. Like you're like, "Oh, let me make this drink from scratch."
So I'm actually oddly the opposite, I think. Well, not necessarily the opposite. So if I'm anxious, I cook. Like I will make multiple meals when I'm anxious. So
When
when
I'm
I'm
anxious, I clean.
that too. I
Oh,
feel like cooking and cleaning is the yeah,
When I'm
have you
anxious,
ever
I
is.
angry
play.
cleaned? Have you angry cleaned something? Oh, that's
Yes.
Nah,
sparkling. The whole
Yes,
I
house
mean,
is
I
girl,
black.
have,
is
yeah, go
extra
You
ahead,
have
clean.
but
to. Oh my God.
Yes. You
I
haven't and you do it?
angry clean.
Girl.
No, because I
really?
You
tear
never
some shit up,
angry
I
clean?
guess. I'll
I
probably
remember one
tear some
time,
shit up.
one
I don't
time,
feel like cleaning this.
what?
Fuck.
Girl, one time I was at work and one of my employees made me very mad, right? I was very mad. So my supervisor ends up coming down because we're going to talk about what we're going to do about this employee. She come into my office and I'm like dusting and I'm like stressed. So like I was pissed. I was
Never.
pissed. Mind you, it's my office at work. It couldn't have possibly gotten that dirty, but I found something to clean that day. I was like, if I don't dust this, I'm gonna dust the floor with her. So just give me
Mm.
a minute.
Yeah, I'll sit there and make multiple meals and I at my at my last house when I moved out cuz I had like it was during COVID, like I was there for the years of COVID by myself. So I lived alone, but like Farrah, mommy, all of our family would come and visit me. So I would cook when, for them to come and I would always have stuff in the freezer, but it's only me. So I would cook multiple meals at a time when I was anxious. Like I would be like, "All right, cool. I'm really anxious today. I'm gonna make rice and beans. I'm gonna make oxtails. I'm gonna make stewed chicken. I'm gonna make some Jamaican curry, some Indian curry. I'm gonna make some
Nah.
seafood stew." And so I would make all of those things in the same day, and I would freeze them and vacuum seal them. So when I moved out of my house, I don't know if Farrah remembers, but I have 2 separate freezers. I have a chest freezer and a standing freezer. Both were full with meals.
Nah,
And
if
when
I'm
I tell
upset, you
you
getting hot dogs.
Farrah took some meals,
My God. Not
Farrah
hot
took
dog,
some meals, my
no
mom took
bun,
some meals,
just hot
Francis took
dog.
some meals. It was months before all the food was actually finished. Like it was like 6 months later when my dad was like, "Hey, uh did you have any more of that chicken?" I was like, that was when I moved out. Like he's like, I've been eating that food every day. Wow. Like that was how much food I had in there that ended up going when I moved out of the house. But yeah, it's
That's wild.
Personally, I
But
like to
Farrah said
dance
just
when
the
I'm
opposite.
anxious, like dance and play. If I get anxious, I'm turning on some music so I can think about something else. And let's just have a dance party. Let's get some, oh, come on. Oh, I'll get like really into it. Like, come on. And then, we could play some games, some board games. We could color. Oh, coloring is really good as a stress reliever. I don't know if y'all know this, but everybody should have a coloring book of some crayons for just in case. Cause, Jesus. It's a good stress reliever.
I
Coloring
prefer
hard.
some adult activity to relieve my
I
stress.
mean,
I mean, who
if
does?
if you can have that when
That's
you're stressed
preferable.
out or anxious, that is the top tier one. Like if I could do that every time, girl,
Ooh.
I'm
I
just
would never
upset
be
now
stressed.
because I feel like my husband's out here playing because he's out here living his life without me. He's out here just in the streets without me, and he hadn't come got me yet. So I'm very upset. I could be in here whenever I'm anxious, he could be taking care of it. So I'm very upset with him. Whenever I
Yes.
meet him, we gonna have a problem.
Woo, Lord.
You can't start off with a problem. It's
Who?
not
I'll
his
create.
fault. He didn't know. He didn't find you
I'll
sooner.
create.
Let's
I'll
argue
create
just to
I'm
make
gonna
up.
give him a good
I
right. I'm gonna give him
know.
a good
Sometimes it
2 months in,
hard.
and then I'm gonna be like, so I need to sit you down and let you know you took much too long to come find me, and you need I anyway.
I have a question for you guys. What is intimacy to y'all? What does it mean to you, and what is it? Intimacy.
Hmm.
Feeling being safe enough to be known.
Being able to be myself. I am a I'm a different kind of girl that a lot of men view as masculine because I am so free with my sexuality and I am so blunt with my words. I've actually been told that I spit fire sometimes, and it's hard to be different sometimes, but it gives me a positive feeling being able to be myself and still being accepted. Cause boy, you don't know how many times I've heard, you need to learn how to be more girly. Why don't you be more womanly? Get some makeup. I can't figure out makeup and it's itchy. That's why. Like, why do I have to wear makeup just to be girly? Now, the one thing that I don't really like is long hair, and my hair is long because he prefers it. And we actually came to that as a mutual agreement because if he likes it, I love it. Whatever. It's hard to deal with sometimes, and I have had moments that I've chopped it off and it had to grow back because you go to comb it and it does something you don't feel like. And then when I was younger, the scissors were always there. They were always right there. Oh, you don't want to cooperate? Bye hair.
So do
But
you think that
I
that's
haven't
part
done
of
that.
intimacy, though?
I do. I think it's part of our intimacy that I let it grow just for him. Because anybody else would be chopped off right now. I'd go into the bathroom right now and chop it off. But because he lets me be me, I give him things he likes as well. And I think that's part of our intimacy.
What about you, Autumn? What's intimacy
Well,
for you?
I didn't know that there are different levels to intimacy. I
Explain.
always I always equated physical intimacy as intimacy, but there are other levels like emotional intimacy, mental intimacy, physical intimacy, spiritual intimacy, and experiential, whatever that is, intimacy. Yeah. So I was always moving in the physical, not realizing that I needed the emotional as well. And I was always equating those to physical with being intimate. That's but there's other levels, and I did not know that. So I know now that I require emotional intimacy. I love the closeness, my significant other to be open with me, with their thoughts and their feelings. That is very important to me now. I did not realize that then, but now moving forward as I find new relationships and meet new people, that is one of the requirements other than physical intimacy. Physical intimacy is so easy, it's not even funny. But the knowing somebody, the getting to know them, the depth, now that's
Sexy.
true intimacy to me. Yeah.
100% agree. Um, yeah, I think intimacy looks like being free to be yourself and feeling safe enough to truly be known inside and out, being in an environment that encourages you to be who you are in a truly genuine, vulnerable way. Um, you don't have to be fearful of reproach or criticism. They just love and accept you. They just want to be around you. And that allows you to, in turn, love even more freely, right? Because you can do everything more freely in those environments. And I think that's what intimacy looks like. And I think that that type of intimacy, it does lend to other experiences, right? Whether it's the physical, experiential, so on and so forth. Because when you are loved so thoroughly, when you love yourself so thoroughly, you can't help but pour it out, right? It's like your cup runneth over. So when you find someone that you feel safe enough to love through and through, it's transformative. When you love yourself enough to do that, I promise it's transformative. So that's what intimacy looks like to me. So I have intimate friendships, I have intimate familial bonds, and then I have, romantic intimacy and physical intimacy, but it's like it all pours from the same well because I'm so thoroughly loved and I so thoroughly love myself that I can do it in a way that's bold and experimental and without limits. So I can't recommend anything else for people. You shouldn't have to feel boxed in. You shouldn't have to be fearful. When you are free of fear, real love and intimacy just can take over.
I agree.
What about you, Miss Jessica?
Think of intimate, I think of close. And I don't necessarily think of physically close. Like you said, you guys all kind of hit the nail on the head with safety. Um, but I think of lack of barriers. I think of being able to say things, not necessarily, I guess, not necessarily without reproach, but with the thought that that person is going to be open to you. So even when they don't agree, then you're still safe with them. Like you're still able to maintain that closeness. Like regardless of how close you get to them, they are able to accept who you are and also continue to want you to continue to be better. So I do think that when I think of intimacy, I think of closeness and like you said, mental, spiritual, physical, experiential, because there's a lot of stuff that I haven't experienced that I'm like, my husband gonna be tired. He gonna be tired. Girl, he gonna be tired. That man gonna be worn out. Uh girl, when I tell you he gonna be worn out, he's gonna be like, oof,
Just make
Lord.
sure y'all stay
You know,
hydrated, okay?
Well,
Make
how
sure
you
y'all
gonna
stay
wear them
you make
out?
sure to
I'm
hydrated.
stay
curious.
hydrated.
What ways are you gonna wear this
Girl,
future
I've
husband
been
out?
learning of different things that I've wanted to try many things for a very long
Karma
time, and I
Sutra.
didn't feel safe to try them. Kama Sutra, not even just like Kama Sutra stuff, like um just trying different things, not just sexually, but like going out and trying different things together.
Traveling?
And traveling together too. I've traveled before with partners, but like being open to saying certain things and doing and having these experiences together. I don't want to always have to lead, and I feel like in many of my relationships, I have been the one leading, and so I feel like in a truly intimate relationship, I will be safe being led.
Is
And
that what
so
you
I was listening to
you sent the dominant submissive thing? Is that part of that?
yes, I was listening to that. It was what is her name?
Jill Scott.
Jill Scott. She
We love
has
her.
a short about being dominant submissive. And that is so true because when you always have to be the one leading, when you have to make sure that you are on top of everything because you are the one that
It's exhausting.
yeah, it's not just exhausting, but it's very difficult to lay down that mantle without knowing that somebody is going to pick it up and pick it up in a way that is going to allow us to move forward. Because anybody could pick it up, but they could also drop it and break it. So when you are the one making sure things go the way that they're supposed to go, when you're the one making sure that all the balls stay in the air, then it's very difficult for you to just be like, "Oh, okay, you're in my life now. Yeah, you lead. Yeah, any man that comes into my life, yeah, you lead. Oh, yeah, you're a man, you can lead." No.
That's why you vet them. You have to find your twin. I think you need a twin. Somebody like that mirrors. I think that for a lot of us, find somebody that have everything don't have to be y'all don't have to have the same interests all the time, but similar interests,
We should be able to complement each other's lives.
yeah.
Not necessarily be
Yeah.
twins or you have to complete me, right? Because we should go into these relationships already complete and whole. That's the ideal. But rather they come in and they complement you, right? It's like that
Yeah.
yin and yang balance situation.
I actually kinda like when the person that I'm dating doesn't like the same things that I do, and we can teach each other.
I was just thinking
So,
I'm an
like
opposites attract kind of
yeah.
girl.
What one of the things that I realized about myself, and you guys have heard me say it many times, I don't watch real humans. right? I've said that, and you guys are like, "You're a crazy person,"
Wait, hold
You
but
know
on.
you
what?
Wait,
everybody loves
pause.
it, right?
Wait, pause really quick. Time out, time out. I know you don't watch Real Humans, but I think I've told you this
It's
before.
real
I'm gonna tell
humans.
you
What the hell
again.
is that?
She doesn't watch
She
shows with
likes
like
cartoons and
people
animes.
acting. She watches like
Oh,
anime
I don't not
instead.
cartoons. I like anime.
She likes anime. She
You
doesn't
watch
watch,
some
you know,
cartoons because you watch Disney movies and stuff, and those are cartoons, baby, not anime. So you like cartoons and anime. I said anime. Golly.
anime now.
I know the
Anime now.
difference because I
Don't
do
make me
both.
tell you again that I said anime.
I love anime. I
I
like
also love
anime.
anime. But
Yeah.
if you are like Jessica and you do not like watching real human beings act or play out things on TV, I highly recommend everybody, I don't care what you like to watch, is to check out Love on the Spectrum.
Love on the Spectrum. What's that
I
This,
on?
saw that. It's so adorable.
so
I
it's
love that little
on
show.
Netflix.
Okay.
It's on Netflix.
It's
Would you
a
say, Autumn?
it's adorable little show. I
It's
like
an
it. It's so
adorable
cute.
show. And even if you don't like watching real humans, I'm telling you, you won't love watching these humans because it is so open and honest. And when I feel like,
Innocent.
innocent,
In-
there is
Innocent.
no malice, there's no manipulation between these people. They're just trying to find love. And it's so beautiful. Oh my God. So just give it a shot if you haven't seen it. It helps restore my faith in humanity time and time again. So, but please
So
continue. I'm sorry. I just had to put that
so
extra.
here's the thing, though. I don't watch real people except when I'm in a relationship. When
What
I'm
you
in a
mean?
relationship, so I heard a it's a term, a social viewer or an experiential viewer. So a social viewer and experiential viewer doesn't really like it's not about the show. They enjoy the show, but it's about the quality time that they spend with somebody else watching it. So I like to oh, did you see that? Yeah. I you too? That was fantastic. Oh my god, did you see that scene? I'm one of those people. Like even if it's not while it's playing, like after it's done, I like talking about it, or even if we don't talk about it, we just oh that was okay. That was okay.
You
Yeah.
like the
And so
experience,
I
the
spend my
bond.
time.
You want to
Yes, I
bond
need
over
I need the
something. Yeah.
experience with someone else. So I'll watch anime by myself sometimes, but I don't even watch that much anime by myself. I tend to watch movies, shows, things with other people. So
Yeah.
yeah, I didn't know
And
that
that's
was a term, but yeah.
I like it though, but I think it goes to show like quality time can be different things, right? Like it can be just sharing in sometimes just listening to music with each other. Like that is still quality time if you both are into it and you both are able to like build a connection through that activity, right? So I do love making adventures. I love doing all kinds of crazy weird things, zip lining, scuba diving, whatever, with
Girl,
people,
me too.
right?
Oh my
But
God.
also
Me
sometimes the
too.
quality time is very laid back. Sometimes it is just enjoying a show together or listening to an album together and then dissecting it. And then sometimes, like, I'll get really into something, and my husband was like, I just thought it was okay. I'm going to go to Reddit because I want to see how other people responded. And I want to connect and I want to see
Like
other
he's
like minded
wrong.
views, you know? So
I could just hear you saying, "Oh, it's okay if you're wrong. You are just fine being wrong."
you're allowed to have your wrong opinion. I love you, baby.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I still love you.
I still love you, even though you're wrong.
Yeah. Yeah. See, to love till death do us part, even when you're wrong.
Even when you're
See?
wrong.
That's
Even
when you
when you're
know it's
wrong.
true love.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, but I always say stuff like that, like in jest, and he knows, you know. But, and I kind of want to circle back to something I said earlier. I mentioned being your authentic self and not having fear of reproach. And I think later you said something, Jess, about, like it's okay to have some reproach or whatever. I just want to say that when I say no reproach, it's like, in my mind at least, reproach comes from like a negative place. It has like a negative connotation where you're like correcting someone, like, but I'm okay with being challenged. And I think there's a very clear distinction between the two. And I think oftentimes when you love someone, you try your best to challenge them as opposed to reproach them or even correct them, especially when it's between adults. I'm not necessarily sure there's room for correction in adult relationships. but rather it's just like, I would like to challenge you to do things differently. I'd like to challenge you to see it a different way. I'd like to challenge you maybe to put yourself in that person's shoes. And I feel like that has more of a level of like, we're equals, we love each other, and we respect each other. So I try to kind of, that's how I see it in my mind, at least. So even if my husband makes me really mad, or we're angry, or we're fighting, I try not to think of it as like I'm mad at him. I'm mad at the situation. I'm mad at how I'm feeling right now. And I will challenge him to try to put himself in my shoes. And sometimes he has to do the same thing too. And I have to be like, okay, hold on, let me sit with it. You said it. Maybe you were right. But he's challenging the way I think, not necessarily correcting me. And I can take that a lot easier because, again, I feel like it comes from a place of like respect and that we're equals in this. So I just
And
wanted to say that.
just to put this out there, because I don't know if we touched on this, but to me, also part of intimacy is learning to love past the worst. So when you said for
Mm,
better or for worse, we have had some
yes.
difficult times. We have had some great times. But for me, getting to those great times after the worst times feels a lot better than just abandoning. So we have had some times where I'm like, I don't know if we're going to make it. And then in my own mind, I'm like, no, we're going to make it,
No
because
matter what,
yes,
you
because
stuck with me.
even though we haven't officially said vows, and me and Jessica have talked about this at length, we have committed to each other. We have committed
It's
to
yes,
the
those
to each
vows are in
other
your
to the
heart.
point where we have a daughter together. And
Yeah.
I want to make it work even when we feel like we can't make it work. So especially with I know I'm crazy. Like realistically, I know that I am a lot. I am a lot to take in, and he loves me past being my extra self. He doesn't have to continue to love me, but somehow past all the worst, which a lot of times I'm the worst. So he loves me past that worst, and that makes me love him even more. So even when I'm really angry, and sometimes I get angry for no reason, like um after losing the baby, my hormones are everywhere. And I'll be realistic.
Yeah.
Sometimes I argue over nothing. I even in the back of my mind, I'm like, why am I
I'm
arguing? And I'm
tripping.
still
I think I'm
cussing him
tripping right
out
now.
and da 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 and da da. And he's like, I'm just gonna go over here, and he still loves me. That makes me love him even more, even when I'm angry. And I'll go cook something for him. That's how I know I love him a lot, because I'll be like, you know what? I'm angry at him and I can't stand him right now. Let me go cook him something.
Yeah.
And if I didn't like
You
him,
still show
like
up
I said
even when
earlier,
you're
if he be eating
angry.
hot dogs, but I'd rather
Yeah.
go
I
Or
ahead.
love
no
that.
bun.
Yeah, and I
Dry.
want to put that effort into, I think last week I was like pissed off at him after we got in some dumb argument that I started, and I left the house, right? And to make up for it, even though I'm not good with words. I'm not really good with saying I'm sorry. I was being ridiculous this morning. I bought him a few of his favorite juices because we don't buy juice a lot. We actually juice at home, but here and there, when I'm at the grocery store, I'm like, he really likes this, and I cussed him out this morning. He deserves it. And
Well, I think it's important to that's an important distinction though, because I think so I actually had a disagreement with somebody who said, "No, you just fall in love. You don't have any control over who you love." And I'm like, "Nope. Love is a choice.
Love is an
Love is a
act.
choice.
Love is
Love is an act
dynamic.
and
Love
a
is
choice.
intentional.
You have to intentionally say, I'm going to continue to love this person. If you're like, I just fell in love with this person and I'm just going off of this feeling, and on the days that are hard, you're gonna be like, look,
I
this
don't
ain't what
love
I
you
thought it
today.
was.
I don't love you
I
like that
don't
no
think
more.
I think I'm done with this
You have to
thing.
choose
So I
to
feel
love
think of
your
it.
person
like you have
every
to
day,
continue to
every
choose
single
it.
day, every
You have
Think
to
day.
of it as
continue
that thin
to
line between
choose
love and
it.
hate. It's a thin line
So
because
yeah.
you cannot hate somebody without loving them first. There is no such thing as hating someone that you have no regard for. Like, you're not going to just argue with somebody. If somebody's not that important, you're not going to argue with them in the first place. To me,
No,
so
no, because there have been times you've cussed people out at the Walmart. You've cussed people out. you didn't know them, but you know they was wrong, and you was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna argue today because you're not gonna
Yeah.
try me like that." You know what I'm
You
saying?
might not have hated them, but in that
It's a
moment.
different type of
But
argument.
ooh,
It's a different type
it's
of
a different
argument that
kind
I
of
don't even remember after I walk out of the door. You know what I mean? So, like, okay, a couple years
Yes.
ago, a lady crashed her. She was in a wheelchair, one of those wheelchairs carts, and she crashed her wheelchair cart into the back of my mama's legs. When I tell you, immediately I was like, "Look, lady, I don't know who you think you are, but I will fight you in a wheelchair." And I and
get
keep
this
in
whole
mind,
wheelchair
I'm
over.
like 8 months pregnant, and she goes to cuss me out. I'm like, no, you're wrong. And then I thought about it. I was like, wait, 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 wait. And I told her to her face. I said, I'm sorry, you're not important enough to keep arguing. And the look on her face when she realized that I wasn't gonna keep arguing, I was like, I'm gonna turn my back now. Don't knock back into me because I might knock you out of the wheelchair, okay? And I turned around and stopped arguing with her because why was I arguing? And I realized that I was like,
Yeah,
wait,
it's not worth it.
she's not
I
important
think
enough
that's
for
a
me
little
to keep
different
arguing.
though. I do think that's a little different though than saying that it's a choice to continue to love somebody. It's a choice to like you make that choice every single day and even when it's hard, even when like even when
But
it's
what if that
difficult to
person don't
think
love
about
you
it.
back?
Then
Well, then
you
you got
got
to
to
make
That
the
go.
hard
I
choice
think
to
You
leave.
got to
it's
remove
important.
yourself.
Yeah, it's reciprocal. Love is reciprocal. And it can't continue to it it's like pouring out of a cup and you just pouring and pouring and pouring. Eventually it's gonna get empty,
Exactly.
It's
right?
gonna run
We
out.
So
let's shine the light on that because I understand where you're coming from. Loving, you promise to love somebody, and through the hard times. Yes, that is very important.
you have
Very
to both be
important.
making the same
Yeah,
decision.
he's making that
Yes,
same
That's
Exactly.
choice.
the
you're choosing
important
Both.
him, and
part.
he's
You
choosing
gotta
Both.
you.
He
both
loves
be
me past my
making the
worst.
same
Both.
decision.
Yes.
Yeah. And you
Well,
done loved him
that's a
past some
beautiful
crazy
thing.
stuff.
That is a
So like
beautiful thing.
you've loved him and he's loved you and that's really the important part is that it's reciprocal. And so there's been times where I stayed somewhere and I was like I should leave and I didn't and I
Mm-hmm.
stayed and I kept on choosing that person who wasn't choosing me and that's something different, right?
Yeah.
I mean I was thinking about that very recently. I was like I was I really liked somebody that like didn't like me and they were pretty obvious about the fact that they didn't like me. So like what am I doing? Oh, I'm done. So move on from that, right? So you have to really like think of the things that like you said s- that train ride be in the back of your mind even when you have some
When he's on your
arguments and
last
things like
nerve
that it's
today.
in the back of your mind. Oh, this N word. Oh, but that train ride was really nice. It was really
Yeah.
nice.
But I
Right? So you have things like that to think back on and understand that he truly does care. He truly does think of you, but sometimes that thing was 3 years ago and you can't think of a thing between now and then that that person really put thought into it for you. That's
yeah.
that's important, right? Like time frames are important. I was in that sort of situation that I was like, well, when's the last time
We did
they did
something beautiful
like
together.
not even
Hmm.
just did something for me. When's the last time they made me feel special?
Yeah, that
Yeah.
part.
Like
Yeah.
like just came in and made me feel special, even from something that they said.
Or
Yeah.
when's the
Not
last
even
time you
you
felt
aren't
like making
spending
them feel
money.
special as well?
Well,
Yeah.
I would make them feel special because
All
that
the
would be
time.
just
Because
but they
that's who
would keep
you
on
are.
receiving it. So if
They
they
just
just kept
kept taking.
receiving and receiving and receiving,
Yeah,
and then
that's hard when you in a relationship
it's
with
difficult.
taker. You receive
Yeah.
you the one that's giving, 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 and then you dealing with people that's takers. They give you just a little bit just to keep you hooked.
Just
And then
breadcrumbs
yeah, after
string you along.
3 years ago, we went on a nice train ride, and you ain't done nothing since. Bet I know
Yeah.
how much I'm on your mind, and I bought you
Well,
something
Exactly.
nice
we all know
last week.
Farrah's
I did something
spoiled,
good
so
last
I
week.
that's why
am.
she's spoiled Mike.
And
But
you
I
know,
do
So like
appreciate you
that's
saying that,
I
yeah.
Autumn.
feel like I really knew I loved him when he broke his leg. Because when somebody hurts themselves, it's one of the most difficult things that you can continue to be together because that person goes through some emotional turmoil and
Yeah,
you yourself go through things as well, but you have to either step aside and let them go through the emotional turmoil and be that person that supports them, or you could be the person that digs them into a hole. He was going through something and I could have been a bitch and been like, fuck you. I know your leg is hurt, but I'm still human and I need this, that, and the third. But I actually put my pride to the side and I was like, look, I got you. No matter what we're going through, no matter whether we were arguing before you broke your leg, no matter whether we were deciding whether we were going to stay together, I am here for you. Use me at your disposal. And that's when I think that's when I truly, even though it was just before my daughter was conceived, and we had been together for over a decade, and I thought I loved him, but sometimes I wasn't sure. But when he broke his leg, I knew I loved him because there were things that I wasn't even sure that I would do before that I did. And
That were no question in your mind.
yeah,
You're
like,
like,
You were
yeah,
like, done. Whatever you need, babe.
let's do it.
and it blew my
Yeah.
Yep.
mind the acts of service that I could do for him that I didn't think I was capable of.
At his lowest
That's so
point,
beautiful.
you was
That
there
is
for
so
him at his
And
beautiful.
lowest.
even to this day, sometimes when I'm angry at him, I remind myself, I stuck with him through this. I'm sure we could get through this
Hmm.
silly little bit of he left the cap off the toothpaste. You know what I mean? Like, because no matter what we go through and whether we get into a little argument, especially with my hormones going crazy, like it was already bad before, everything happened last year. My hormones were already going crazy. I didn't know I was going through postpartum. And I'm pretty sure there were days where I was probably acting a little bit extra. And he was taking it and he was trying to help me grow through it and guide me through it. And I'm not saying that he was always, the top notch man, like, oh, don't worry, I'm here for you. Cause he argues with me just like I argue with him.
He's
However,
human.
he stuck it through. He didn't just up and leave. He didn't be like, you know what? Fuck you. I'm out. He said, you know what? We're arguing, but I'm still going to stick this through with you. And that makes me love him even more. And even though I don't always show it, I try to remind him of it here and there. I think we had this discussion a couple weeks ago because, like I said, I could be a lot and I know I could be a lot. So sometimes I have to be like, hey, babe, I know I'm a bitch, but thanks for loving me through the bitchiness. And I, I feel like he appreciates those small moments when I recognize to his face that I'm the one being extra, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Accountability makes a big difference because if you're with a partner that can do the self reflection and hold themselves accountable, it lets you know that they actually really care and that they're aware of it so they can start working on it. So I'm pretty sure you still have your bitchy days, but I'm pretty sure there's also plenty of days when you catch yourself and you're like, nope, I remember I love this man. Sometimes I'm being extra. Maybe I'm being extra. I'm gonna do something else. You know what I'm saying? So that it gives you the kind of like motivation to keep going because you could tell that person's invested. You could tell that they're growing and they're changing. And you're like, you know what? I want to see how far this is gonna go. I'm invested too. So it's not always easy, especially for some of us women folk to admit that we're wrong. But it's okay. It's all right.
So
And it helps give
for
your partner that gleam of like, yeah, my spouse is in this with me.
Yeah.
so do you guys have any problem admitting that you're wrong?
I
No,
don't have that problem because I'm also never
no,
wrong. I was talking about you. I'm talking about y'all.
no. I'll say I'm sorry if I know I'm wrong. I'll say I'm sorry. I'll apologize in a heartbeat because I know we're human beings and we're not perfect. And I sure as hell ain't perfect, you know. So if I crossed you, my partner or whatever, and I'm like, okay,
So
I'm sorry. What
do
can
you
I
think
do
it takes
to make this
convincing
better?
though?
I think it depends
To
Convincing?
take what?
sometimes.
Yeah, that you're wrong. Does it take convincing that you're wrong? Like, do they have to like prove that you're wrong, or do you tend
No,
to realize
no.
that you're wrong?
I think sometimes
Mm-mm.
it takes a little bit for
I'll
me to
sit back
realize
and think.
it. So I actually
I'll sit
talked to
back
a
and
friend
think.
recently and he's a really good friend. He's been a friend since I was in middle school. And sometimes I like to vent to him and try and get his perspective as a male. Because I know that he's actually pretty well rounded. And we were talking
Mhm.
about submissive versus not submissive. And I was telling him why it's so difficult for me to be submissive sometimes. And he made a point to tell me, it's not about what you're looking for. If you think that you're supposed to be submissive, then just try to do it. Stop trying to look for an excuse. Well, why I have to be submissive. Like for me, I'm like, well, I'm waiting for him to do this or waiting for him to do that before I'm submissive. But instead of waiting for that, why not just try being submissive and see where it leads? And I never thought of it that way. I always just thought that I was right with, I'm not going to be submissive until this happens. You know what I mean? So sometimes it takes an alternate perspective to help me see where I'm wrong. And sometimes it's Jessica. Jessica helps me come back to earth because I like to live in space.
Space cadet.
I do. I be floating out there, guys. And so sometimes it's my mom, and sometimes it's my own reflection. Rarely it's my own reflection because realistically, I'm just not a thinker like that. I'm just, once I think something, that's what it is. This is the color I've seen and it's blue, but maybe it's a blue green. And I just couldn't see it until somebody pointed out. And that's just me. Like I said, I'm easily distracted. I am a very blunt person and I am pretty much set in some ways, but I am amendable. I am able to adjust, but sometimes it takes a different type of screwdriver for that adjustment.
External sources. External sources.
Yeah.
That's fine. What about you, Keisha? You think external sources tend to get you right, or do you realize that you're wrong, that you're wrong, or are you like, they're gonna have to get it out of me on
Gotta
my
get it out the
deathbed?
mud, honey. You're
Like,
gonna have to work for this.
yeah, right.
No, I'm funny.
She's never wrong. So
So I can't answer that question. No. No, honestly, truly, um, I usually come to the conclusion myself. So if my husband and I get into a disagreement, sometimes, okay, oftentimes he'll say or do something that upsets me, and I'll be like, yeah, I don't think that was okay. I feel like that was really messed up, blah, 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 blah. Or now's just not the time to talk about it. Clearly I'm not in the headspace, like maybe just read the room, you know what I'm saying? And then he'll be like, oh my God, you're right. I'm sorry. But then later I'll think about it. He's apologized. I say, I forgive you. I think about it and I'm like, I could have delivered that softer. I could have said it nicer. Why did I tell him, yeah, why didn't you just read the room? That wasn't nice. It might have been true. It might have been accurate. It might have been very obvious, but I didn't have to say it that way. And then I'll come back later and be like, "Oh my God, babe, you know what? I thought about the thing earlier. I very much appreciate your apology. But I also feel like I owe you an apology. My delivery could
Oh,
have been better. I feel like,
so you do
because
apologize.
I mean sometimes or whatever. It's not a big deal. So
Hey, it's okay.
what about you,
whatever.
It's
Jess?
okay.
Probably over apologize.
Jessica,
I tend to
Jessica,
over apologize.
Jessica.
It is what it is, but I try to I try not to offend people, but also like I'm always trying to make myself better. So if I don't think I'm wrong, I probably won't apologize, right? If I don't think I'm wrong, if I really am like, well, this is not something where I'm wrong. We just have differing opinions. I will point out that we have differing opinions and that I respect their opinion, and that we're just not on the same page, and we're not going to get on the same page. But if
You
I
Sometimes
could
I
just
do it,
apologize if I'm not wrong, and I know for a fact I'm not wrong, and Google said I'm not wrong, and my mama said I'm not wrong, and the trees said I'm not wrong.
yes,
You know what I'm saying? But I'll still apologize because
yeah,
you are hurt. I will say, I'm so
yes.
sorry that this situation hurt you. I don't apologize for what I said or what I did, but I'm sad to see that you're hurt. And I don't want that. How do we move forward? How do we get to a place where we're communing with one another again? Because I want you to be good. I'm not sorry that I said what I said, and I'm not sorry that I did what I did, and I'll do it again tomorrow. But how do we come to an understanding? You know what I'm saying? Like, how do we come to an understanding and move forward together as a unit? Maybe there is still space for compromise. I'm not wrong, but maybe there's still space for compromise. Maybe there's still space for me to hold room for your feelings. And sometimes that apology comes just so that they can take time to reflect and be like, okay, well, maybe I did overreact. Maybe I'm more reacting to, that rejection that I'm feeling inside and not necessarily what Keisha said or did. So there's no shame in apologizing just so that you can build, just so you can move forward. There's no shame in that. But what I will say is, what I will challenge you on is when you are over apologizing, what is the reason? Are you over apologizing to make yourself smaller so that
and
they can
why?
feel better? Like, where does
Yep,
that come from?
yep. Why?
Usually
Why
I'm
you do
trying
that?
to
Why you do
take
that? In other
responsibility for
words,
my
Yeah,
part of
thank
do
you,
things,
that.
Autumn.
even if they're wrong, if I feel like I have any tiny little piece in it. If so, like, I'll apologize to somebody who's like, I just don't feel like talking to you today, or Um, so I had a conversation a while back with somebody who, like, I asked them about their day. They told me all about their day. I'm sympathizing with them, and they said something, and I identified with it, and I proceeded to start telling them about my day, and they were like, "I didn't ask." And so
Who
I said,
said that to
"Okay."
you? Who?
Or we're
Point them
cussing
out.
I
out.
was like
Point them
I was
out.
like, "I'm
Yeah.
sorry. You know what? You're right. I apologize because you didn't ask. And you
Face
know what?
out.
I would have stuck my
I
foot up
it
there.
since you didn't ask, I'm going to modify my behavior in the future. I'm not going to volunteer this information." Okay. This
Why are
is
you talking
that
to him? Why are you
if
talking
you
to that
if you have
person?
a if I don't feel I feel like they are setting a boundary at that point, and I'm like, "Okay,
That's not a boundary.
no
That's
problem."
rude.
Exactly.
I mean,
It's
some
nothing
people might think
boundary
it's
about
rude. Some
that.
people might think, okay, now their
It
social battery
doesn't matter about
has
other
been
people. What did
expended,
you think
right?
about it? Like, stop worrying about what other people
I
think. What did you specifically think about it?
How did
so
you feel in that moment?
at the time I felt upset, and then I was like, you know what? Their social battery is not as big as mine. Especially when I have a lot of anxiety, I talk a lot, and when I have a lot of things that, like, when something's bothering me a lot, I sometimes I talk it to death. And if your social battery isn't as big as mine, okay, I won't talk to you about those things. I have lots of other people in my life that I can talk to about things.
Please tell me
No
that
I
problem.
person's not
respect
in your
that.
social circle anymore.
They are, but I've also
Here's the thing.
modified how I deal with them. So I don't go I try not to go to them and talk about tons and tons of things. And I also don't go to them, like, if I'm having a bad day, I'm not going to go to them and then, like, talk all about my day, because that's not how what our relationship looks like, right?
So they're
So
basically a
them
taker and
saying
they're
that
taking and taking from you and you giving.
no, so they apologized later, right? They were like, "I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say it like that. It's just I was really agitated, whatever." Cool. I am going to modify my expectations of our relationship. But at
Okay.
that moment, my feelings were hurt and everything, and I apologized. But my apology was more stemming from, okay, let me see. My behavior needs to be modified in some way if we're going to continue this friendship. Okay, no problem. I apologize for me not seeing that there was a change here. I'm gonna go
Here's
ahead and modify my behavior,
So how many times
I
have
can
they hurt you
right?
see.
like that?
I mean, there's been times after that we had conversation. I mean, it's never been that brash again, but we've had other conversations where I was like, where they were very transparent about the fact that they have a small social battery and it had been run out, and I'm like, okay, cool.
Here's the
I'll
thing.
let you go.
Here's the thing. I understand what you're saying. I can see where you are coming from. But again, I would like to issue a challenge and make just a couple of statements, and then you can take with this whatever you want. Just know that what I'm saying comes from a place of love and always wanting the absolute best for you. So I think that Farah was right. What they said was disrespectful, and that's why you felt hurt in that moment. Because, like I've said time and time again, respect is just the minimum you can give someone. And in that moment, they did not give you even the bare minimum. And to me, that's never acceptable. I would also like to I'd also like to challenge you to rephrase the way you think about things in the sense that just because you can figure out a reason why they may have done X, Y, and Z, that doesn't excuse it. You are empathetic to the point where it can be to your detriment. You figure it out. You put yourself in their place and you say, I can see why they did it. But what I would like to challenge you to do is to take a step further and say, even though I understand why they did it, it's still not acceptable.
Mm-hmm.
I get that you're
Yep.
coming from a place of hurt. I get that you're struggling right now. I respect it, I understand it, and I love you all the same for it. But I also love myself enough to say that I am nobody's punching bag. You don't get to
Yep.
take it out on me. Even if you're
Yep.
frustrated with me in that moment, you still owe me a modicum of respect. And if that's not how we can operate, that's okay. I will love you and pray for you, and I'll love you from a distance. So just because you can understand the reason, that doesn't make it acceptable. And you're allowed to set a boundary for yourself that says respect is a hard line. You cannot cross it if you want to be a part of my life. If you consider yourself my friend, you won't want to cross it.
And they
You
apologized. They did apologize, and we had a short conversation about
How
it.
long did it take for them to give you that apology? Was it right
Not
there, like,
long.
okay, the same day?
It
Or,
was later on that same day.
Here's the thing. I don't want you to focus on so much their actions, whether they apologized or not. It's important that they apologize and they recognize that it was wrong. So, Autumn, I think you have a very valid point there. But I think what's most important is that you sit with you and understand why you are willing to accept that behavior and make new rules to keep them in your life, to keep them in your circle. And I say that
exactly.
because
Mhm.
I've done the same thing where I've come up with so many rules to exchange,
Excuses.
to make, yes, to make excuses and to allow it. Okay, this person did this. So from now on, I'm going to move like this so I can avoid that same level of hurt. This person did this again or in a different way. So now I'm going to go ahead and change the way I interact to avoid that level of hurt again. And you keep moving the goalposts for them, and they keep still towing that line. They keep still causing that hurt and that pain. And then you have to come to a point, or at least I did, where I understood that it doesn't matter the rules that I make. It doesn't matter how I change, how I interact with them. This
It's who
person is
they
remaining
are.
the same. Yes,
It's who
this
they are.
person is remaining the same. And I'm choosing to remain the same too by continuing to allow it, by coming up with new parameters for them. I'm choosing to accept it. And I'm telling them, at least on a subconscious level, it's okay. It's okay that you hurt me because I'll make excuses for you and
You
I'll
already
move
know my
differently.
position on it.
And at the
I'd
end
throw
of the
them down the
day,
stairs.
at the end of the day, I'm not advocating that you throw them down the stairs, even if and when they deserve it, because sometimes they might. What
Give me a
I'm
little tick.
saying is, you have to be true to yourself. How often are you going to keep giving them pieces of you until you have nothing left? And I'm telling you from personal experience, and I'm telling you because I love you and I really don't want this for you. You will continue to do it and you will feel that you have betrayed yourself. And I think that's one of the greatest betrayals. Because at the end of the day, you come into this world with you and you're going out of this world by yourself.
And you're too good
And
for
if
that
you can't
shit.
stay true to you every single day, what do you have, baby girl? What do you have? You have to be able to count on you. You have to be able to say, I'm going to show up for me. That little girl that was hurt or slighted, little baby Jessica, that's who you're taking care of today, tomorrow, and always. Would you allow somebody to do that to a little baby Jessica? Would you allow someone to disrespect, Z? Would you stand there and let somebody make Z feel that way? You wouldn't. So you owe that to you, to baby you, to current you, to tomorrow you. You got to stand up and fight for you. You got to say,
And that's
I
all across
understand
the
that you're
board.
hurting, but I'm not going to take it because
Friendships,
I love me enough. I love myself so
friendships,
much more.
Advocate for
and
yourself.
relationships. Friendships and relationships, that should be all across the board. Period.
If they can't
All across
respect
the
you,
board.
yes, that's a hard line.
Friendships,
Friendships,
relationships,
relationships. If this person
even
makes you
family.
feel like you should accept less in
Yep.
order to keep them around, then you
They
shouldn't
don't need
really
to be
keep them
around.
around because you
They don't need to
owe
be
that to
around.
yourself. You deserve more in every relationship you have, whether it's platonic or romantic or familial. If they
Yep.
can't love you the way that you deserve to be loved, you love them from a distance. It doesn't mean you hate them. It doesn't mean you don't want them to grow. But what you're saying is you won't grow at my expense.
Hmm.
Saying
Stop people
I just
pleasing.
think that different. I do think it might be a little bit people pleasing, but I do think that like the way that we interact with people just can be different based upon like different things that are happening in life. Like when
But
people
you
do have a small
look,
social
but
battery
you
and
can't
things
be
like
thinking
that.
about what's going on in their life. You got to be thinking about what's going
I
on
mean,
in your life.
that's part of friendships though. Like it's
No, here's the
important
thing.
to take that into account.
Here's the thing.
You
I
bending
hear
over
that.
too much.
You have to give them space to do what they need to do, right? But also you have to understand that they're in a difficult place. That doesn't make it okay for them to make you feel bad. It doesn't make it
Exactly.
okay. You can sit there and say, "All
Yes.
Agreed.
right, I understand you're going
And they
through
took
a
personal
lot."
responsibility for it. I was taking responsibility for my portion, and and I think that's
But
really
here, okay.
where
Okay.
sometimes I do over I
Baby, look at me.
overperform in
Baby, look
taking
at me.
personal responsibility.
Baby, look at me. Hold on. Look at me. Okay.
Looking.
I'm going to have to quote Dr. Seuss in this moment. Okay. Dr. Seuss says in one of his books, the people that mind don't matter, and the ones that matter don't mind. if you are being extra in your communication and your excitement and your anxiety or whatever, people that really care are going to sit there and make room for
If
you
it's
too. They're going to
mhm.
sit there and say, okay, you know what? I'm having a hard time right now, but apparently Jessica got to get this off her back, off her chest. I'm going to let her do it because I'm trying to show up for her the way she shows up for me. And if I can't do that, then I can at least tell her in a respectful way, hey, Jess, I'm so sorry. I really want to be here for you in this moment, but I'm struggling right now. Can we revisit this later? You didn't do anything wrong. You're saying you're taking responsibility for your actions, but you didn't do anything wrong. You thought you were talking to a friend. And you can tell your friend the same story 12 times, 12 different ways, and we're not going to go off on you. And we're not going to say, well, I didn't ask. Case in
That
point,
part.
Farrah be telling us the same story all the time. Do we ever be like, shut up, Farrah? We didn't ask you that. We would never. Because we love and we respect Farrah. And we gonna sit there and be like, yes, girl. Mm-hmm, yup,
Yeah.
yup.
And if you've noticed, anyone who has acted like that isn't around.
You see, because those people don't, they should not matter. Those that matter don't mind. And the ones that mind don't matter. Plain and simple. You can show up on my doorstep and I could be having the worst day of my life. And if you start crying, baby, I'm going to hold you. I'm going to cry with you. But I'm not going to be like, Jessica, I didn't ask for this right now.
Man,
My feelings are just too important right now. So I can't be nice enough to you when you're having your feelings. Please shut up. I didn't ask. I could never, I could never do that. Even on my worst days, I might be like, I can't today. I'm sorry. I just can't today. But it wouldn't turn into something that's disrespectful. You know what I'm saying? And even though it's hard to show up and be kind all the time, you have to make a very conscientious effort to do so when you're dealing with people that you love and you care for. And I also think it's very important for you specifically to make a very conscientious effort to show up for you the way you show up for other people.
also, I think
You
you should
would
keep
you
in
would
mind.
you wouldn't do that to anybody else. So you have to sit there and say, this is a clear line that I'm going to draw where I don't let people do it to me. Yeah, you want to give them space and empathy and so on and so forth, but again, not to your detriment, not to the point where you're coming away feeling hurt and you have to come up with new rules and new parameters to try to keep them around because they keep hurting you. My friends can tell me when they're excited. My friends can tell me when they're upset. And I'm not going to be mean and shut them down. Even if they're telling me something that I disagree with, even if it tells me something that pisses me off, I'm going to sit there and say, oh, girl, I'm not sure how I feel about that one. You know what I'm saying?
It wasn't a continuous thing. It doesn't happen all the time or anything like
It doesn't
that. So
have to, it
that's
doesn't
what I'm
have to
saying is that
happen.
if it happened once, everybody makes mistakes. That's what I kind of
I
get to.
get
Like
that,
it
but I've
happens
also heard you
once.
say that you're
Yeah.
making new rules. I'm just not going to engage with them that way anymore. That's the problem that I have with what you're saying. You're making new rules. You're making more room so that you won't be hurt the same way. You're saying I have to change myself to avoid being hurt by that person. And that part is the part that really bothers me.
And just keep in mind that
How
if
much
somebody will do that to you, if they will do that to you emotionally, when it comes time for you to physically need them, they're not going to physically be there. If that makes sense. So if they get slapped, are they trying to slap you too? Like, what's the problem? If you physically get hurt, do you want to hurt me? Do you get what I'm saying, Autumn? I think Autumn gets what I'm saying because she's laughing. Yeah, so
it's like
if
saying
they get
hurt
slapped, are they
people
going to be
hurt
like, Jessica, let
people.
me see your cheek?
I don't think it's
I do
I
think
don't think it's
it's
apple to
very
apple, but
similar.
I get what
If
you're
you get in
saying.
a physical altercation, they're going to be just standing there like, well, Jessica got that. She got herself in that situation. Now, fuck that. Don't keep people like that
What
around you.
Bear's I think what Bear is trying to say is if they can't show up for you emotionally, what makes you think they're going to show up for you physically? I think
Thank
that's
you.
what she's trying to say. You can't show up for me and just be respectful. Why would I expect for you to show up for me as a friend? Why would I expect you to show up for me as someone that's willing to try to traverse this life together in any meaningful way if you can't even show up and be respectful, which again is the bare minimum. So, yes, people make mistakes, but what I want you to do is not make the mistake of betraying your self worth and peace to make room for those people's mistakes. That's all I'm saying. Make sure you have a clear, hard line and boundary that protects your peace in every relationship, whether it's platonic or romantic, because you are deserving of, at the very minimum, respect, but more so, you're deserving of honor, you're deserving of consideration. You're deserving of praise. You're deserving of someone that's going to be reciprocal and the way that you show up for them. That's where you're supposed to be. That's the goal. Respect is just the bottom. That's the floor, right? So that's all I'm encouraging you to do, is to make sure that when you have these friendships, relationships, they are ones that are full of honor. They are full of love. They're full of intention and being thoughtful and considerate, because that's the kind of person that you are. So for you to make room for someone's actions that don't align with that, and you're saying, I have to take accountability for what I was expecting, you were expecting what you were giving out. You were expecting them to show up as a friend because you were showing up as a friend for them. You listened to their day. You gave courtesy. You gave empathy. So you expected that in return, and that wasn't wrong. There is no responsibility for you to take in that moment.
And besides,
You
if
thought you were
everybody
engaging with the
deserves love,
phone.
aren't you part of everybody?
That's that part right there. That part right
Yes, I
there.
didn't
That wasn't a
I didn't say I
loving
didn't though.
exchange. You kind of did though. You kind of did when you made excuses for their behavior and then decided you had to come up with new rules because that behavior
You
existed.
know what just
You are
popped in
saying to
my mind?
yourself,
Y'all
you're
remember that
saying to
song?
yourself and to us, hold on, wait 1 second, Farrah. You're saying to yourself and to us that you deserve less, that it's okay, and you'll make excuses and you'll make room for them, which in turn means you're saying, I don't deserve love. I don't deserve respect. I don't deserve people that show up for me the way I show up for them, because you make excuses. You internalized what they did and made it your fault somehow. And now you're making new rules. Well, I just won't go to them with this, but I'll still show up for them in different ways. But I just won't go with them with a basic understanding that respect should be the minimum between us. You are saying you deserve less. You're not saying it with your words, but you're saying it through your actions and your thought patterns. And I really want you to stop, because you deserve the absolute most.
Do you do
You
those things
deserve
in the
diamonds,
mirror?
pearls,
You know, when your
affirmation.
affirmation stuff, you should do that every morning. Look in the mirror and remind yourself, cause God damn it, you look just like me. God damn it, I am beautiful. I am somebody. I am the shit. I am lovable. You don't
That's
even
what
have
I'm
to say the
saying.
I am kind
When
part, cause
you
you know that part.
That's what I'm saying though. When you love yourself so thoroughly, it is transformative, and you won't have room for people that don't want to share in that love with you. I love you to the bone, okay?
Hmm.
I love you through the ickiness. I love you through the gross
You're
stuff.
so
I love you
lovable.
through the best times and the worst times. You're still always lovable. And because I love you so much, I can't tolerate you accepting less. And I love myself so much that I would never tolerate accepting less. I can't do it. I owe it to me too much. I've been through too much shit. I've seen too many things. I've cried too many tears to accept someone disrespecting me and then calling themselves my friend. You're not. You're not. You can't right now. Maybe you can be my friend later when you've gone through some healing and some reflection. But right now, you are not being a friend to me. And I'm not going to make excuses for it. And I'm not going to make it sound like somehow I did something wrong.
And it's
No,
okay to tell
I
somebody
love
that you
myself
need
too
time away
much.
from them.
Love them from a distance, especially if you're having a hard time loving yourself through and through. When you love yourself so much, you don't
Des,
have room
where's
for
this
someone
person
like that.
at so we can beat the brakes off of them so we can
I
We're
have
not
an
gonna beat them.
idea
continue.
We're
who
not
it
gonna
is,
beat them. We're
actually.
not gonna.
Who
We're not
it
gonna do
is?
it.
So
We're
so
not gonna.
we
We're
don't have
not
to
gonna
have
do
this
it.
conversation again, okay? And look,
We'll
look,
have to do
who it
that one
is?
off tape.
What?
It's cool.
What?
Yeah.
What's up? What's up?
We're gonna circle back
What's
to
up?
this.
What's
Okay.
up?
So I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna say this. She said, "Let me take my what? What? Nah, our precious angel baby Jess." So I'm going to say this to anyone and everyone that's listening. This is not geared towards you, Jessica, because I feel like we spent a lot of time, and I don't want you to think we're therapizing you. We just love you, is what it is. But I saw somebody share this. They were like, "What's this one radical woo woo thing that you did that actually changed your life?" And we don't just mean like, "Oh, I bought crystals or whatever." Like it really is just weird, and you can't tell other people about it, but it changed your life. And this person was like, "Here's my thing. I took a baby picture of myself, and I put it in a prominent place in my home. And then I sit there and say, oh, baby me deserves to live in a nice space. So I make sure I clean up all the time. Baby me deserves to be loved and cared for and groomed. So I make sure I shower every day. I make sure I brush my teeth and I floss every day because that baby deserves to be cared for. Oh, baby me deserves to have X, Y, and Z. And that's what motivates me to do these things. I'm pretending like I'm caring for that
that.
baby. And I was, thank you, girl, me too. I was like, what?
That.
What? So you got to show up for baby you as an adult, right? That's for anybody that's listening. Think about what the sweetest, kindest little baby deserves in this world, and then make sure you give it to yourself. And then make sure you turn around and you are a reflection of that when you're dealing with others.
And if you don't like
So
Do it.
don't
babies
let
and you like
nobody
old people instead,
abuse
put an old
baby
picture.
you.
Yes,
Don't let nobody abuse baby you then. You want to abuse a baby? Don't let nobody abuse you. Yeah, I
exactly.
like that concept. I love it.
Yes.
I
I
love
wish
that.
I
I
came up with
love
it,
it.
but it hits the nail right on the head. It
It
hits the nail right
does.
on the head
It
because you are
does.
still carrying little baby you inside you every day, and that baby
Yep.
deserves love.
In this episode, we talked about love languages. We talked about what our specific love languages were and how we perform our love languages for others, and how we like to receive the love languages, and how that kind of changes day to day. We also kind of got into the weeds about what it looks like to care about other people in relationships, whether they be platonic or romantic relationships, and what intimacy truly looks like. In the comments down below, can you tell us your view of intimacy and what your love language is? Tell us if it does change day to day for you, and what's the best time that you could truly see your love language, or somebody giving you the love language that you truly needed in that moment. Thank you for joining us another time on Different Walk Serious Talks. We'll see you next time.